What's your lemonade stand story?
And he was like, YouTube's going to be the next big thing, Devin. Like, you need to get on that. You need to get on it early. And I'm like,
And all of us, we all go through our own trials, our own level of stuff.
Sure hope this works out. Otherwise, this will be a huge waste of time.
I mean, what else is it all about other than just taking risks and continuing to try and grow and hopefully get better and better at making things?
And most of the billion-dollar brands you've seen were started by people that were just solving a problem for themselves.
We're telling lemonade stand stories from some of the world's top creators, makers, and go-getters.
We're rolling right now.
Hey,
We're having fun. We're rolling.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this podcast today is sponsored by Yalla, a task management and team collaboration software that we use at Lemonade Stand. We use Yalla to keep all of our team members organized, wherever they are. In fact, we used it to plan and organize this podcast. Visit yalla.team, that's YALLA.team, and try it for free. We also have a special offer for all listeners of this podcast. Use promo code LEMONADE and get a lifetime 25% off if you upgrade. What's going on, guys? This is Chan Prabhakar with the Lemonade Stand Stories podcast, and I'm here with a good friend, Derral Eves, who is a legendary marketer. I've heard about him for so long, and then I've had the opportunity of meeting him. I'm trying to think of where we actually met. I don't know if it was at VidAngel or something. We have crossed paths over there, and then of course The Chosen. We got to interact quite a bit while he was promoting the series, which is now what it is today. And it's great. You know, it's interesting because everyone always says you've got to learn YouTube through Derral Eves. Like, he will teach you the ways and everything. And so I'm very, very honored and privileged that you are willing to sit down with me on the Lemonade Sound Stories podcast. So thanks, man. Thanks for being here.
Dude, anytime. I love talking. I mean, that's what I do. I talk. That's what marketing is. Haven't you figured that out yet? It's just when you talk to people, right?
Dude, no, I love it. And you know what? You talk very well. It's incredible.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let me ask you this, because the Lemonade Stand Stories podcast is all about people's lemonade stand stories, right?
Yeah.
When they were kids, they started a lemonade stand and they kind of marketed.
Never done that.
You've never done that?
No, because that was the wrong approach. Now, I'm not like dissing on your podcast here, but I'm thinking, do you know what? If you're just waiting for people to come to you, that probably isn't the most effective. Sometimes it's more effective to go to the people. And my strategy really hasn't changed much. Like, I think that there's a lot of people today just expect, oh, I opened a business, everyone's going to come to me. They're going to literally stop and come to me. And so, luckily I was, a little bit of an outside thinker at that age. And
dude, I love that. So how old were you, would you say, when you were like, hey, I better go to people?
Well, I grew up, my dad's an entrepreneur in so many aspects. He had a couple businesses in the construction realm. And so I always grew up how to work hard. So when I was younger, I was 6. I think it was illegal at the time to have a job, but I was a paper boy. Yeah, I was out delivering papers just to have some spending money and stuff. Because like the cool thing about my parents, and you wouldn't necessarily think it's cool, but I always thought it was cool. But there's take care of yourself, man. The world's not going to take care of you. You want school clothes? Well, here's a way you can get money to get some school clothes, because we ain't buying it for you. You want a handout? That was like by far one of the coolest things that my parents done. And it wasn't that they didn't have the money; they had the money, but it was
just wanted to empower you guys.
They definitely did. And so, I had a paper route that turned into 4 paper routes that turned into a weekend paper route as well. And my mom and sisters and brother was, driving me around, and I'd kind of throw it out, or I'd be on my bike or whatever. But it was a something that taught me, you got to get up early sometimes to make the money. And you got to look for opportunities. And I always was looking for opportunities. So that's kind of where it started. And then I realized that, hey, working for someone else, like I can't expand my money without taking on another route, and taking on another route equals taking on more time. And so, yeah, I could do that. What's going to be the best way to do that? So was it managing other people? I mean, I was 6, 7, and 8 when we were doing this. I did it till I was 11. But I learned when I was 11 that this is not the most productive way, because the only way that you can make more money is to increase your routes, which takes more time. And then 2, why would someone want to do a paper route with you if they can go directly to the source, right? So it's like I just knew it was kind of a dying thing. But I was able to get enough money saved up that I was putting aside, that my dad did one of the most powerful things ever for me. He says, you see that money sitting in the bank, I know that is meant for your mission, where I was going to go dedicate 2 years of my life, and it costs money. And he says, you're on your way to do that, and it's a great goal to have. But let me show you how to really make money. Oh, wow. And I'm like, what do you do? Like, what do you do? And he goes, I want you to go up to this guy's house. And it was a neighbor of ours that was like 82 years old. And he had a farm, and he was selling off some property, and that was kind of his retirement, is just selling off property. Sure. And he goes, I want you to take the money and make him an offer. And I'm like, Dad, wow. I'm freaking 12. I'm 12.
You're kidding me. Okay.
And he goes, no, that's what you're going to do. And he just well aware you don't have enough money to even do it. And you need to have a discussion with him. And so I went up, and there was the guy there. And I says, hey, I want to buy that property. Here's some money. And his eyes get about this big. He's like, where did you get it? I've been saving up, doing paper routes and odd jobs, for weeks and months and years. And this is what it occurred to. I didn't spend too much because I don't need much. Yeah. And I says, I definitely would love to have an opportunity to buy this property. And he just laughed. He goes, it's just not going to happen. I says, look,
of course.
How much, I says, we can work on this. I'm a really hard worker. I see that you have a farm. I'm willing to come every day or a couple times a week to help you on it. We can figure out a reasonable wage for what it is that can compensate for the deficiency. I didn't talk those words when I was 12, but that's what I was telling him. And he's like, okay, that's cool. And I says, then 2, I have a side hustle over here. I'll do, cash, $100 in cash a month. And it wasn't like the property wasn't that big. It wasn't, whatever. But it gave me a thing of looking for something bigger. And so I just basically did it from when I was 12 until I was 18. And my dad comes, okay, now it's time to, it wasn't paid off quite yet, because it was, fairly expensive. And there's only so much money you can put into it on $100 plus, that's like it was like $6 or $7 an hour. I was working for this guy. Yeah. But he goes, yeah, now it's time. And he goes, let's just go ahead and flip it, and you'll have enough money for your mission. And I went and did that. I actually had more than enough for my mission. And then I got home, and I had enough to buy a car. And then I had a little bit of money that my wife and I, it was like a year and a half. I was saving up. We bought another piece of ground. And so we didn't necessarily, we had a down payment on it. And so we were able to get into our first home when I got married, based off of something that my dad taught me. And, even to this day, side hustles and everything's important. Like I do own a lot of businesses, but for me, it's like looking for the opportunity that the money can work for you instead of you expecting the money to come to you.
Yes.
You know, so.
Well, it's interesting, and it's awesome your dad taught you like those principles earlier on, because so much of the time we're spending our time like trading our time for money, right? Yeah. And so then it's like, well, all right, if I'm going to be trading my time for money, then I got to be doing something where giving my time, I will make a lot of money, right? But then what you're even saying and suggesting is like, no, make your money work for you. Figure out ways to do that so that you're kind of exponentially growing rather than feeling like, hey, I got to put all this time in and I'll get some back. It's like, what if you put a little bit of time in, but it's kind of compounded, right? And it kind of expands and grows. And I love that you were thinking like that from an early age. It's amazing. You know?
Well, they all do credit goes to my dad, and like he retired young, and just kind of did it. Well, I don't even know if he was retired. I mean, he just did investment real estate, you know, and he'd just do his little projects, but he was always in his backhoe or dump truck. I'm like, what's going on? And I didn't know that we'd go on these projects and I'd work for him and he'd pay me. But sometimes I didn't know that he wasn't even being paid on the job. It was just like, he was blessed, God blessed him. And he wanted to help people. I remember, you know, putting in this trench. It was a big trench all summer. And I mean, he paid me the whole time. And come to find out years later, you know, that I was talking to the individual that did the trench. I'm like, yeah, I can remember working for you this summer. He goes, you know that your dad didn't charge me, right? I'm like, wait, what?
No way.
So
Okay.
it taught me to don't always expect stuff as well. And my dad is a master at that. Like he always served more than when he was expecting to be paid. And then those opportunities were very abundant for sure.
I love that, man. And I mean, it's really cool when money doesn't become a factor anymore. You know, you put that aside and you're able to just go out and do good just for the sake of doing good. There's a definitely a freeing, uplifting feeling that comes when you're like not expecting anything. You're doing it just for the sake of doing it, you know?
Yeah.
No, I love that. Now, how did YouTube come into your life? Because that's like what I've learned. Like, I'm so curious.
Well, it wasn't invented when I was 8. Like,
no, it was not.
I'd
It
be
was
there.
not.
It was,
Yeah.
I don't even think the founders weren't even born yet. But
no,
anyway,
I don't think they were. Yeah.
But the way that I discovered it was when I got home off of my mission. I was spent some time and I met a girl and she's like, hey, this is gonna get serious. And I go, oh, I got to get a college degree because that's what's expected of you. And I've always been a learner, but I'm not a traditional learner. I think there's a lot of wasted time and efficiency in some of the stuff that happens in the education space.
Sure.
And so I just had a goal. I'm a huge goal setter. Like you have no idea. I'm like literally a huge goal setter. I just set a goal is like, what's the fastest possible time that I can get a 4-year degree? Because that paper is all it is. And like, nobody really checks it or whatever.
Yeah.
But, so I knew I needed that. And, so she was my sugar mama for some time and I locked in. She was basically was in her final year of college, and then she went on to she had a really nice accounting job, and so I just buckled down and I just tried to get it as fast as done, take as many classes as I could, and so I actually got a 4-year degree in 2.5 years. Now,
nice.
I was just grinding and going as fast as I could. But that's where it started. I went and worked I got an internship and went to work for a regional hospital. It's IHC, Intermountain Healthcare. If your listeners are from the Intermountain West, you probably know who they are. But I went to work for them and quickly realized that I don't like to have constraints on me. So I'm very talented. And I don't say this arrogantly, but I'm very talented in the sense that, I can do graphic design, but I can also program, and then marketing it's just so inbred in me. And so I got hired on in the PR department, and basically I did the corporate website, and this is back to 1999. So it's like back in the day when it's like HTML, all that other stuff that you're just kind of typing in. So I did the corporate website, did a website for us, and then I had 16 publications. These are magazines and newspapers that I would design. And I got bored, and they didn't have to outsource it anymore because I was there.
You were doing everything.
Doing it was easy because I grew up on Quark Express, and they didn't have InDesign or any of the Adobe projects back then except for Photoshop. So I was really good at Photoshop, Illustrator, and Quark Express, and so I was able to get through a lot of the stuff that they needed. And I started to count up all the different things that I saved them that they were outsourcing, because I got access to the budget of what they've done in the past and what we were able to save. And
Yeah.
man, I almost saved them $1 million for me coming into the company. And it says, you know, I'm one that firm believer, if you contribute, you know, you should be blessed for what you contribute.
Sure.
So I went to chat with my boss's boss, and it's the CFO of the company, and I went into, well, it was like the CEO, but I was meeting with the CFO because I knew that's what I needed to do. And realistically, I should have talked to the controller, but anyways, like, hey, we're just talking about you being the CEO, and the CEO of the company. And this is not of Intermountain Healthcare. This is like of just our regional area.
Yeah.
Comes walking in, oh, Derral, we love you. You do great. You're doing great. And for the foundation loves you. PR loves you. And I says, hey, you know, perfect timing. You know, I got accepted into the MBA program for hospital administration. You know, I just wanted to let you know on that. And they're like, oh, this is great. You know, we can see, you know, in 15 years, you're running this hospital. And I'm like, 15 years? Like, I wanted to run it in 5. You know, I wanted to be in his spot in 5. And then I brought up and say, hey, you know, I just noticed I've been contributing a lot, you know, dollar amounts, and, you know,
saving a ton of money.
He goes, yeah, we've been able to divert that money to other places. It's been great. He says, could I get a $10,000 a year raise? You know?
Yeah.
And they're like, whoa. I mean, we love you, but you'll be making more than your appropriate supervisor. And I'm like, you kidding me?
Yeah.
And this is actually what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I was only on the job like 6 months, so it wasn't like anything huge.
Sure.
I left, went outside, called my wife. I had one of those big old phones back in the 90s.
Bricks.
I don't know.
Yeah,
exactly.
The bricks. Yeah.
And I says, honey, I got to quit my job. And she goes, huh? What? And I'm like, yeah, I got to quit my job. I just can't do this. And she goes, what happened? And I explained it to her. And this is why I love my wife. She goes, I'll support you in anything you do.
Wow.
So anything. Oh, caveat. I'll
Yeah,
support you in
please.
anything you do, but don't start your own business. You know, that was the the but, right?
Yeah.
And so I quit. I didn't have anything. We had a brand new baby. You know, it was like, why would you do it? Because I was literally demotivated.
Completely.
Because there wasn't anything in front of me. So long story short, I had a lot of offers. I didn't want to move. I love where I live. Yeah. I live in southern Utah, one of the most beautiful places in the world.
Absolutely.
And so I decided to start my own business. And my wife's like, But we prayed about it as a couple. We're very religious, and we honor God. And we just had this sweet, peaceful feeling come in, and that's how it all started. So I started an agency, did graphic design, web design, and then it turned into residual stuff. So we started a hosting company, and then also, an internet marketing company back in the 1999. So that was called AKA Spam. And that's how it all began. And I started to grow those things and look at different assets to grow. And then, we're hiring people and going from there, and it's ups and downs and sideways all through that. So don't expect it was like super amazing, like everything in line perfectly. It was hard. Yeah. We had times we didn't even know where the money was going to come. It was just blessings along the way. But to get to the point of your question on YouTube, I know this is the longest answer, but
dude, I love this. I love this epicness, because here's the deal. You had to decide for yourself that you could not be like limited by a ceiling. And I think that's what that regional hospital situation was doing for you, was like, well, oh no, you are saving us money, but there's definitely a ceiling over your head, and you're not going to be able to like.
And that's okay, but there's and this is a very important point. I don't want to discourage anyone that wants to go into that type of work, but realize when there is a ceiling, there is a sense of security. So you're actually replacing, if you want to have no ceiling, then it's less security. Yes. That means that I didn't have my 401k matching. I didn't have amazing health benefits. And that was kind of harsh as having a young baby.
Sure.
And then two, it's just like, you're just making nothing when you first start on your own. In fact, you are making nothing. Yeah. But that's how it all started. And so, that sense of security, if you want that, that's great. But I just don't thrive in that world.
Yeah.
So, everything led, company was growing, and we got to 2005. And 2005, the internet was maturing. Internet speeds were a little bit faster.
Yeah.
I had a lot of clients that we designed websites for all over the world. I realized that the world could become my marketplace instead of, just locally where, some people are still on dial-up in 2005.
Sure.
And so went on to Craigslist to buy a desk, because that's what you do when you're so cheap that
Yeah.
you can't go to Staples to buy a desk. You got to
Sure.
go to Craigslist for like a $10 desk or a free
Yeah.
desk or whatever. And I saw this ad that says, hey, get this iPod, and all you got to do is sign up for this website. I'm like, oh, I like that, because
Okay.
iPods at the time were like the size of a brick and held 1,000 songs. It was like
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs just introduced, this teeny little
Those little-
iPod Nano,
Yeah.
and you can put it in your pocket and no one can see it and all that other stuff.
you
And
can
so
just
that's what they
hear
were
tons of
offering. I'm
music.
like, dude, sign me up. So I went to the
Yeah.
place, and there's only a couple moments in my career that my jaw hits the ground, literally, and whether I fell or whatever, but I saw video for the first time where you were able to hit play and it played. It didn't buffer all the way to the end. So you young folks, Gen Zer, that are just
Yeah.
coming into it, like when you hit a video back in the early 2000s, it would take maybe sometimes 15, 20 minutes before you could watch the video.
Yeah.
Good luck on that. But this
Yeah.
platform, you could do it. And then I noticed too that there was cool videos. So I started watching it. I love videos. I've always wanted to make Super Bowl commercials, stuff like that. And it was just like, this is great. And I started to eat it up, and I saw what was trending, what wasn't. And then I noticed they had these tools on the player that you could embed it on a website. And my idea is, I have a lot of clients. What if I gave them a video that they can embed on their website? Like, that is the future. Like, because now when they load up their page,
Sure. Yeah.
they could hit play and not have that message. And so that's what started it. And so I spent a year trying to convince my clients to do it. And we had 865 videos to make. So we did it from this is October of 2005. We started in 2006. So we did all of 2006. And then at October 2006 is when Google bought YouTube for 1.6 billion.
Wow.
And then things got better, because in 2007, early 2007, all those videos that I created for YouTube and also people's websites started to show up magically in Google search. And I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? Like all I did is give it a good title, but yet it was coming in search. And some of these outranked our websites. And here we are putting hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours into it. And the light bulb went off to me, sell my SEO company, which I did, because we had some internet marketing type stuff.
Yeah.
Sold that. And I went 100% on video, because I knew all I got to do is produce the video, which I love to do.
Yeah.
My manpower staff would go from 52 down to 2,
Okay.
which it did. And I could hire, professional videographers to go grab the scripted content that I needed anywhere in the world, which I did. And that was a model, because I could outrank any website. And I didn't have to fight with Matt Cutts, the anti-spam czar, on trying to get my website to rank. And I wouldn't have to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and realize that all my websites got delisted, and I have to work on getting them back and all the other stuff that I was doing. I'm like, okay, boom, they're done. So that's how I found YouTube. And I spent a significant amount of time working with doctors, dentists, lawyers, pest control companies. I'd pick verticals and just get a video to convert. And then I would just kind of change it out for their location. And I'd rank it in different cities across the world using Google and YouTube, and made a lot of money. And then I learned that it's more about, instead of having them buy a video, it would be better for them to buy a lead. And so we switched it over to paid per lead, and that's kind of how it all began. So
that's insane, because the thing is like, I know you went from there to now training other people on YouTube, because like, and so much I feel like of your bread and butter has come from like your own trainings. Because every time people like talk about like YouTube marketing and stuff, they're always like, oh, you gotta like take Darrell's course, or you gotta like study up on what he's doing and what he's training and teaching. And I think it's just incredible, because the proof's in the pudding, right? Like, it's not like you're making stuff up. It's like you literally have done this for yourself, and now you're sharing.
Well,
your
it's
knowledge with other
getting
people.
stuff to convert, right?
Yeah.
Regardless if it's a creator or brand. So there was a tipping point, and I want to tell you. So there's another
Yeah.
time that my jaw hit the ground. So you know those leads that we would create, those videos. I always do a toe in the water campaign for those that don't know marketing yet, or you're learning
Sure.
marketing. But it's just a test to see, does your copy work? Does your videos work? Is it get to ring? Like, how many views are you getting to get someone to call? And how many calls do you need to actually get a client, and really understand the conversion of that? And so I called up my friend. I said, hey, looking to go into pest control, just doing something. I know that you have a pest control company. Let's go ahead and do some videos for you. And of course I'm going to charge you,
Yeah.
but I won't charge you what I'm going to charge other people. He says, yeah, let's go do it. And I love him to death. And so we made some videos, and he made some videos, and we got him to rank, and they started all doing this stuff. And his business started to really expand. And so he usually does the office work and works with technicians to get them out, and does bids and does payroll and, accounting. And he got so busy that he had to go out on the bigger jobs because they didn't have enough technicians to handle the work that was coming in. One of the jobs that he went to was a piano store. And this piano store, they were spraying there, and he says, hey, do you know anyone that knows marketing and YouTube? And he's like, dude, you gotta talk to Derral. So I get this phone call from an owner of a piano store. He says, hey, looking to do YouTube stuff and sell things online. Could you come talk? I'm like, sure, come in. And went into this piano store and saw, hundreds of pianos out there, just beautiful, not too many people in coming to buy a piano. And then I met this guy, and he goes, hey, I heard that you're into YouTube. He goes, I just hurt my back 6 months ago, and I was kind of out of commission, and all I was watching was YouTube videos. And I thought, hey, this would be great if we actually would do YouTube videos to sell pianos. I'm like, dude, that's genius. I love it. I go, you're thinking ahead. And then he showed me the video. That's when my jaw hit the ground.
Okay. And
I'm like, this is not an ad. He goes, well, no, it is, because you can see the Yamaha and whatever. This is good. I go, but this redheaded guy that plays the piano, like, he's really good. And this cellist, like, but you don't sell cellos or whatever.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, but it's good music, and that's what will sell. Right.
Yeah.
And I says, hey, that's cool. And I go, how many grand pianos did you sell? And he's like, 0.
Oh man.
Like, I can tell you're putting $10,000+ into it. I go, I've been making videos for him. He goes, yeah. I mean, luckily that one of the guys that's here, he shoots and edits, so it doesn't cost me that much. But he goes, we put a lot of energy and effort into it.
Yeah.
I says, well, I can tell. And they had, hundreds of thousands of views on their videos. And I do apologize if you hear construction going
no worries.
on.
We should make note of that. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but the thing that happened next was I saw the true potential, and so did he. And he wanted to be able to quit their day jobs, quit the piano store, and just make music and videos, because that's what he loved to do. And we started to work together, and I'm marketing. I did websites and promotion and all that other stuff. They made amazing videos, but I was able to be a part of something special where I saw good content creators that understood good content, good music, and what that translated into is 0 piano sales up to a specific time. But we had a strategy where they were able to start a founders club and get their big supporters to contribute to them, so they could quit their jobs and focus in on music and YouTube. And they went from 20,000 subscribers up to 1.8 million subscribers in a short amount of time, and hundreds of millions of video views. And I think now, I mean, they're in the probably 1 billion video views, somewhere around there, and 7 million subscribers, somewhere around there. But if you want to check them out, the Piano Guys. But that's the moment that I found my jam. And my
See,
jam,
and I had no idea you were involved with the piano guys. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know?
That's where I found my jam. Cause like
Yeah.
I'm good at people. Like I'm really
Mm.
good at understanding people, culture. Cause I'm a student of culture. I'm a student of history. I love to see situational relationships,
Mm.
good, bad. I'm curious by why people do what they do.
Mm.
And so I found my jam. I found understanding audience
Yeah.
development. I understood how to leverage that audience, and I basically became the guy behind some of the biggest channels in the world. Like one of the channels for you young Gen Zers that are entrepreneurs. Yes, I've been working with Mr. Beast for 2.5 years, and we own a couple companies together. And
That's amazing.
he
Yeah.
was just like he had over a couple. He had 2 million subscribers when I started working with him, but he's getting 1 billion freaking video views every single month. Now I can't take credit for it. He's an amazing creator at all, you know, in all the world on that. But the reality is I have gifts too that can amplify a good creator. And my strategies and tactics have proven time and time again that that's basically what I've built a career on. And I just love it. I love what I do.
No, and you know, here's the thing. Like I remember we were at NRB in California, in Anaheim, I believe is what it was. And I had like this VR booth, like we were doing like some virtual reality Jerusalem stuff. And I saw you walking out, and it was interesting because The Chosen, which I want to kind of talk about right now, was barely being developed. And so there were 4 episodes that were airing, and we had like this little tiny theater, but there was like this other big theater, and that's where like the guys that were doing like the Kingdom Studios were at, right?
Yeah.
And they were like the talk of the town. Everyone was going there. No one knew who The Chosen was, you know? And I remember having this conversation with Jonathan Rubin. He was there at the time. And he's like, I really hope that the show takes. And I'm like, I think it's going to. I really do think it's going to. I'm like, one, because you guys have Derral Eves, but also it's a, you know, you've done a great job, and you've got 4 episodes, and they're really, really awesome and compelling. And they weren't even done at the time. I remember they were just like, they're kind of like in the rough stages. But The Chosen is an incredible success, and it has reached worldwide audiences. It's helped a lot of people. It's hilarious because, you know, it's the Chosen is made by Dallas Jenkins, who's an evangelical Christian, I believe, or I don't know the exact his exact branch of Christian.
Yeah, he's an evangelical.
Right? Mm-hmm. And it's hilarious because I go to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which I believe is like the same faith that you belong to, and my bishop always tells people, you know, to go watch The Chosen. And like so many people are we have like this group that we all get together and we watch The Chosen, and you know, it's just kind of an exciting time. And anyway, I wanted to know, like, how did you get involved in that project, and how did you make that thing come to life? Because you're one of the exec producers, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm the CEO of the company, and then also
I didn't even know you were the CEO. That's crazy.
Yeah, Dallas's business partner, and then the executive producer of the show.
Okay, that's awesome. So now I know Matt Faraci had some stuff to do with the show as well, like bringing it to the VidAngel. But like, how did you become involved with it? And
well, yeah, Matt basically felt inclined to have Jeffrey Harmon, who is the head of content at VidAngel, head of content marketing at VidAngel, to watch this show that has the possibility to become something that they're looking for, which was original content at the time. And Jeffrey watched it, and he was moved by it, and he tried to convince Neil to watch it, and he's like, "We're not going to do an original show about Jesus." And so Jeffrey had this idea of, hey, this multi-season thing, and so he convinced Neil to see it. Neil hit it, and he says, "Okay, this is what we need to do." And at the time, they're trying to figure out how to make this happen. So they started to talk to Dallas to see if he was interested, and Dallas was, but they didn't have money to pay him. And it's just like, where's the money going to come from? And Jeffrey's like, hey, let's crowdfund this thing. But you're going to need some support. I mean, it can't be our business that does it. It has to be your business that does this, which was really wise. And Jeffrey's like, well, who do we help? Dallas. Now, Jeffrey and I worked on 7 projects up to the time. I was the executive producer of the Squatty Potty Pooping Unicorn with Jeffrey. I was, working with the launch and everything on that. And so we had a lot of thing. And he's like, I gotta talk to Derral. And what happened next was I was putting on this conference of just these big YouTubers and brands coming in. It's a conference that I own. It's called Vid Summit. And I get this random text from Jeffrey. He says, "Hey, is my ticket still good?" I'm like, "Yeah, you turned me down. You didn't want to come,
Yeah.
but it's still good."
Yeah.
And he goes, I'm on a plane. I'm like, "Okay, great." And this was the day one of Vid Summit, and he literally flew down, and he came with his little Chromebook. It's like this little teeny little thing.
Okay.
It's like 6 inches or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But whatever. And he's like, "You got to come see the show." I'm like, "Jeffrey, dude, do you see now what's happening here? I'm trying to put on a conference." He goes, "No, you got to put on this." I says, "I can't. There are literally thousands of people here. That's a big ask."
Yeah.
And I went to turn to walk away, and I'm like, "Dude, wait, he just flew all the way down here for this. That's all he came for. He didn't come for Vid Summit. He wanted me to watch a video."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Why can't you just email it to me, my friend?" But anyway, so we found a room, and we got some other YouTubers like Peter Hollins and a few others that we were all around this teeny little Chromebook. And he gave us the vision of what he thought. He's like, "Hey, this is gonna be a TV show about Jesus Christ." And they had this amazing creator, and he hit play. And that's when it changed for me, because I'm like, "Oh, this is fresh. Oh, it's low budget, but it's fresh."
Yeah.
Ooh, wait, nativity. Why isn't it? Where's Mary and Joseph? Like, I don't even see them there. It's about the shepherd. And I got connected with the shepherd. Like, he was just, I don't like people being bullied, and he was being bullied. And I get very, I don't know, protective, I guess.
Yeah.
And here he was just wanting to learn about the Messiah, and went into the synagogue because they were talking about the Messiah there. And he got kicked out of the synagogue. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." My heart was just breaking for the guy. And then what happened next was the deal clincher for me. Was he was going out, he got stopped by a man and a lady that was pregnant, and just they wanted to know where the well was for water, because she was thirsty, and so was the they were all thirsty, right?
Yeah.
And he says, "Hey, it's over here." He goes, "But do you know what? I got water." And here he gave water to Mary, and I lost it. I'm like, "Here it is. Here's Mary." Just moments before she has Jesus Christ. I'm like, that I get it. Somebody comes knocking on the door, and the emergency is going on, and I had to go deal with an issue, and I get it to go, and he's like, whoa. He goes, "You can't leave. It's coming to the good part." I'm like, "Jeffrey," I go, "I know where this is going." I go, I'm all in. If I just have to hold the light, I'll hold the light. He goes, "I want you to meet the creator, next week." And so went out, did my conference, finished it out on Saturday, flew home to Utah, drove up to Provo, and there I met Dallas for the first time. And I met a lot of creators in my life, just because I work with them on the behind the scenes stuff. But Dallas and I hit it off. We're kind of similar in some ways, like our the way that we approach creative and business and so on. But then we're different in other ways, that we're almost yin to the yang. And before I knew it, I was partners with Dallas Jenkins. Me and him were starting a company in Utah called The Chosen. It's a Utah company. And VidAngel at the time was going to be our distribution partner. Now it's Angel Studios. Long story. They can talk about that if they already haven't. But anyway, we were making a TV show, Dallas and I, and it was like, "Okay, what do we do?" And so that's how it all started. 0 followers on YouTube, 0 followers on Facebook, 0 scripts that were written. It was just an idea. That's what entrepreneurship is an idea, and willing to make it work. And so luckily we brought some other partners on. I put a significant amount of money into it, and so did some of the other partners. Dallas was able to quit his job, and we were able to just focus in on that to be the #1 most crowdfunded project of all time in film and television. And it has everything to do with visionary people that can see more than just the paycheck. People that can see the impact. And that's how it began. Now it's been 3.5 years ago, and there's been a lot of water under the bridge, and Dallas and I were crawling on glass, with our team, because we were trying to make it happen. And Jeffrey and Neil or crawling on glass trying to make it happen. And that's how it all began. And this is a really, really important point, because this will go back to how you introduced The Chosen.
Yeah.
We had enough money to do 4 episodes, and we made the episodes, and this was great, right? And we had enough to do the last 4 episodes, but we were deficient some money that people promised us that never came in. That it actually came in a different way. We'll talk about that some other time. But we did this, but this is the best way to close out this story with what I began with. We went to NRB for it's National Religious Broadcasters. It's all the influencers in the religious space, and we went to NRB with a lemonade stand. Okay, we were hoping people would come to us, and I'm telling you, we had less than 200 people in a room that could fit thousands. Okay, when we were showing it, and I'll take those 200 people. I'll never not do it. But from my perspective and from Dallas's perspective, that first year of NRB was a bust for us. We spent a lot of money on it. Because a lot of great ideas, and we had nothing really to show for it. We didn't get any money coming from it. The exposure that we got, like, it was forgotten. It was swallowed up by someone that was spending millions on their production, and we walked away with nothing. And it wasn't that it didn't need to be premiered. We needed to see how people would react to it. And I think that was worth the money, is to see how people, because I was watching the sporadic audience of how they were engaging with the content. They loved it, and I think this would be big. But it was still like, it wasn't like, oh, we knocked it out of the park. It was like, no, we just failed, and it was because of that. It was because of that moment. We had to think differently. It was like, this is not going to be easy. Just because we made it doesn't mean that they're going to want to watch it. It doesn't matter that if they're the most religious people and they love Jesus so much, they're not going to watch it. We got to figure that out, and that's where I truly do believe we had an amazing pivot, because I've been trying to convince Dallas. We do these behind the scene videos a lot, but I was trying to get in his mindset that he's the project. He's the creator. He's the influencer. He's the Mr. Beast for the chosen universe. He's that creator for it. And he was kind of dragging his feet all the way up to that point. But he got to a point where he's like, I don't know what else to try. And we've been doing so much. I didn't even get my own family to watch. I mean, it's just like, it's hard to get people to watch your content, right? And the moment.
I was gonna say real quick, I remember that first year at NRB, because I was there with you guys, witnessing. And I remember there was this one moment, I don't even know if you remember this, but it was you. I was talking to you, and I'd seen you come in. You were utterly exhausted. You had spent every ounce of energy left. You actually took a knee, you were just on your knees, and I'm like, Derral, how's it going? He's like, dude, he's like, it was just like, and I could just see it in your eyes, like the amount of energy and the effort that you guys have spent to get to this point where you're like crawling through glass. And it was just like, because everyone else had like millions and millions of dollars budgets for their production, the History Channel, the Kingdom Studios, all these different places. And you guys were definitely the underdogs. So I remember. Anyway,
well, it was. And for everyone, and what he's referring to is, when I go to an event, I go on event mode. So I literally don't sleep for the times that I'm there, maybe an hour at the most per day. And then it's always about people and getting stuff done. And so the more people that you meet, the more opportunities that come. So I get in event mode, and I'm always running. And I did a meetup earlier with my YouTube fans and showed them The Chosen. And we had that there. We actually had more people to that than we had at the main one. But it was just like sharing the whole journey aspect of everything. And it was just like, how many people can we talk to, and who can we set it up? Because that's the only way we can do it. But I walked away with that. Dallas walked away deflated. And it was like, okay, what would we do? And so I, once again, talked about our audience development on the platforms. And I says, we got to take this more seriously. And he's like, dude, we're doing videos. I'm like, no, but you got to do it more personal. And that's where it did shift. I mean, because that's how we raised the money. And that's what works, is developing an audience that way, is just being authentic, because that's our brand. And that's when he, not reliant on ads or some miracle lemonade stand that would bring it in. It was just like, okay, we just got to get more people seeing it. And we took a very active effort between the first 4 episodes to the last 4 on just how we're going to apply our marketing, and then how we're going to integrate. We increased the staff of our BTS social team triple. And it was just like, okay, we just got to get more cameras, more footage, more everything. And it was the moment that Dallas said, okay, I'm an influencer. And we took it on. And that's the moment I believe the project changed, because it wasn't, oh, help us, and then I can make content and everybody wants to watch it. It was like, no, if this is going to happen, every one of us are going to have to take it head on, because it's just not going to fall into our lap. Yeah. And Jeffrey and Neil were that way. Dallas and me were that way. Our team that we were building and the company that we were building, that's what it was. We were grinding, sacrificing sleep to be able to put out what we did. And without that, crawling on glass is what we call it, The Chosen wouldn't be what it is today. And the biggest mistakes that companies make, especially in the startup space and all this other stuff, is when the money starts coming in, that they go and spend it on stuff that doesn't build what's the infrastructure that's needed. And they'll go buy their Lambos and all this other stuff. And I do want to just close on this one, because I do have a hard stop, because I have some stuff I got to do with Mr. Beast right after this. Sure. But it's very appropriate. What happened when I gravitate to certain type of creators, and I gravitated to the Harmon brothers. I gravitated to Dallas, of course, this way. But I gravitate to people that don't care for the money. They care for the cause, or they have something greater. I'm a cause-driven creator. So when it's a net positive thing, I will take time out of my schedule to work with net positive businesses and creators. That's what I want. And so I get this random phone call. It was 2.5 years ago. Okay. We were already doing The Chosen and stuff like that. I was in Texas, and it was a text, it was a tweet DM. And it was a YouTuber that I actually liked. And I thought he had a lot of potential. He says, hey, can you talk to him? We rattled off for about 40 minutes. He's like, okay, where are you at? I'm like, I'm in Dallas. He goes, I will be there in 6 hours. I'm like, you're not going to be, you're like in North Carolina. You're not going to be there in 6 hours. He goes, I will be there in 6 hours. Sure enough, he was there in 6 hours. And we spent the day together. And I asked him very specifically a question. I says, hey, what kind of car do you drive? And this is kind of my entry point, because most YouTubers are known for their Lambos and just very extravagant stuff. It's not that there's anything wrong with that, right? But what he said next, I was all into on him. And he pulled up his phone. He goes, I know where you're going with this. And I drive a Buick. Here's the car. He showed me the Buick. It was just this standard car that everybody drives. And he goes, and the reason, let me tell you why I wouldn't buy a Lambo. And he goes, if I bought a Lambo, I'd have to buy my boys a Lambo, because that's what you got to do. You can't just take everything for you. They help me out too. That's a lot of money that I could reinvest into my business and do it. I'd rather buy a Lambo and give it away, because that's content. And that's a good thing to do. I don't need to drive a Lambo, but I need to invest every dollar into my business. I want to be the biggest YouTuber of all time. He goes, I want to be the biggest YouTuber of all time. He only had a couple million subscribers at the time. I bought in. I drank the Kool-Aid. I'm like, dude, come to my conference, Vid Summit. So he was sitting in the audience. Hardly anybody knew who he was. And the next year, he was the keynote, and he actually bought into the conference, Vid Summit. But he was a keynote, and he grew 30 million subscribers plus at that time. And now, who knows where he's at? He's probably, 58 million, somewhere around there right now. But he will be the biggest YouTuber of all time. PewDiePie is the biggest, but he, when Jimmy releases a video, Mr. Beast releases a video, he'll get 30, 40, 50 million views in the first couple of weeks. PewDiePie releases a video, he's lucky to get 1 million. And in that perspective, he is the biggest YouTuber of all time, but he will have the most subscribers because, you know, every month he's getting 2 to 3 million people subscribing to him now. But the reason why I bring that up is he's not focused in on money. In fact, he'll give every dollar away to get what he's wanting to get to. Dallas is the same way. We're putting the money back into the content, putting it back into the company. I'm the same way. And if you, as an entrepreneur, think at any time that you can just take the spoils, and we'll call it spoils for what it is, because someone invested, there's a round of investment or whatever, and buy it with things that don't build the company, you are the foolish entrepreneur that can always be and will be. There will be a time for it, but it's not now. You know, it's like buckle down. You don't need a remodel of a freaking office. What you need is getting people to talk about you. You know, you can be virtual, you can be remote. Yes, you can go rent a place that has a nice office space when you talk to investors, but you can go to investors, you know. And yes, there will be a point where you need to look like you're established and go from there. But that's where you put the money, not freaking what you drive, not your house, not all this other stuff. Like, you got to just hustle. And if you go back and look at every single successful entrepreneur, Jeff Bezos, I'll put him up there, even though he gets thrown under the bus because he's weird. Elon Musk, you know, they reinvested their profits into their companies. You know, and what I mean, Elon didn't even have a car, and he was sleeping at the office, you know, and he'd sleep at friends' places. Jeff Bezos was in his freaking Honda for years, horrible offices. He could have put the money back into it, but no, he used it to build. And that's what they make them powerful. And then two, for the chosen, that's what we're doing too, because our goal isn't to make you know, the billions of dollars or anything like that. That's not our goal. Our goal is to get the show to 1 billion people, and that's our drive. And I can tell you, when you're focused on cause-driven things like Mr. Beast is, which we are, the byproduct, the effect, the ripple effect of you being focused on where you're at, you will have all the other stuff that you want. You will have the you know, people will be talking about you, and people will be doing it, and you'll have the money that's there. But what I would do is 100% focus on the cause and not the things. So.
Man, Derral, seriously, wiser words could not have been spoken. I appreciate that. And I know you have a hard stop, so we'll wrap up right now, but thank you so much, man, for your time and for your wisdom. And honestly, I'm excited to see where the chosen goes, but not even more than the chosen. I'm excited to see what you choose to do, like with the rest of your life, like all the other things that are going on. Do you have any final words or any final things that you're doing?
I think that last statement is my final statement. Just don't give up. Keep going. You're just inches away of getting more exposure, you know, and money. So
that's awesome. Well, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you taking the time and joining me on this podcast.
Yep. Thank you, man.
Yep. Talk to you soon. Thanks so much for listening to the Lemonade Stand podcast, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you use to be alerted when we release new episodes. We'd also love to hear your feedback in the reviews, and if you or someone you know has an awesome Lemonade Stand story, please reach out to us on social media and let us know. Thanks so much, and have a great day.